fuck is that? If you need any other proof that nature was definitely smoking something while creating Triassic animals, this is Eretmorhipis. This Triassic Pokemon is essentially a fusion between a platypus and a stegosaurus, at a time when neither of those existed. Eretmorhipis was not fully aquatic, but it spent most of its time under the sea looking for crustaceans and other invertebrates. Because of this platypus-esque build, Eretmorhipis probably had access to electroreception. It's a pretty cool tech that lets platypus sense its prey's movement by electrical currents generated by their muscles. Receptors in the beak are able to pick up these weak electrical signals and get them right to their stacks. Now just put a fedora on it and voila. I can't be the only one who's absolutely afraid of Komodo dragons, right? At least I'm not an Aboriginal Australian 60,000 years ago having to contend with this. Megalania. In comparison to Megalania, Komodo dragons are snack size. We don't have good fossil evidence to go off of, but they were probably somewhere between 9 and 12 feet long. That's a fucking ping pong table. And if Komodo dragons are hunting deer, what's this guy gonna eat? Megalania was probably snacking on kangaroos and these cow-sized wombats named Diprotodon. And also probably humans. If one of these things has caught up to you, you can send a prayer to your god telling him you'll be right over. Because he would then rip out your flesh, inject you with poison, and watch you bleed out. So if you were not a healthy adult, you would not be outrunning this guy. Let me show you 3 apex predators from Earth history you've never heard of. We'll start off easy and then get much more obscure. 500 million years ago, Anomalocaris was the biggest thing around. This was probably the first apex predator ever. It was using these arms to grab onto the prey and feed it into its weird little bone mouth. He's also my precious little baby, so I don't want any mean comments. Second, Eretmorhipis. This was an absolute unit. If this looks a lot like a T-Rex skull, that's because this is one of its earliest ancestors. If this head is so impressive, let's see the red. It's okay, buddy. We've all been there. And number 3, we've got Rhizodus. Not enough people talk about this guy. He's so cool. Giant insects were roaming the land during the Carboniferous. Rhizodus was tearing shit up in the sea. Rhizodus is the largest freshwater fish we have ever seen and was more than 20% bigger than a great white. It might have even been ambush hunting like modern crocodiles. I hate this. Did you know any? Let me know. Whenever people think about sauropods, what animal do they think of? Probably animals like Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus, or Apatosaurus. You know, towering beasts like in this scene from Jurassic Park. But nobody ever thinks of Magyarosaurus, the dwarf titanosaur. Welcome back to Dinos and Debunking, and yes, you heard me right, dwarf titanosaur. While titanosaurs were some of the biggest animals to have ever existed on this planet, Magyarosaurus was barely the size of a horse. But there was a good reason for that. Magyarosaurus was found in Romania. What, did Romania just have mini dinosaurs? Yeah, kind of. What's interesting about Romania is that it was actually an island chain during the late Cretaceous where this fossil is dated to. Through a process known as insular dwarfism, certain creatures will gradually shrink to sustain their needs if space is limited. The opposite also applies, which gave us predators like this. So at some point, titanosaurs must have migrated onto the island before getting stuck there. Now, sadly, this did not save them from the meteor. But if you want to, you can save this video and share it with your friends. Look at this giant wombat. Welcome to Dinos and Debunking, let's get right into it. This giant fella is called the Diprotodon. Check out that nose. So yeah, these things are absolutely massive in comparison to regular wombats. Diprotodons would have been staples of the Australian megafauna during the Pleistocene, around 250,000 years ago. During most of this time, they would have shared the island with the Aboriginal people of Australia. Their interaction can be seen in cave paintings such as this one. They would not have been hard to find. They traveled in groups of probably more than 300 animals. Imagine a bison herd, but instead of bisons, they're wombats. They would have been very calm and grazing animals. However, like with everything in nature, their reign had to eventually come to an end. Starting about 80,000 years ago, the Diprotodon, alongside most other animals weighing over 200 pounds, went completely extinct in Australia. Exact reasons for this are unclear, but we have several theories ranging from changes in environment to overhunting by humans. No, there will always be a Diprotodon-sized hole in my heart. But hey, life's life, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have you ever looked at a whale shark and been like, oh, I wish these were bigger? Well, say hello to Leedsichthys, the biggest fish who ever lived. Welcome back to Dinos and Debunking. For about 20 million years, Leedsichthys would have been a gentle giant of the Jurassic Oceans. Occupied a role similar to modern basking shark, you know, filter feeding and all that, and probably couldn't swallow anything bigger than an apple. And thank God, because this is terrifying. Although that's not much more than a consolation prize, because they were by far not the freakiest animals around. However, there's still a lot we don't know about these fish. Their skeletons had a little tendency not to consist of bones but cartilage, which if you ask me is very inconsiderate. Anyways, I'll see you tomorrow.